UN warns of catastrophe as Israel fights a two-front war. Israel bombs 3 regions across Lebanon. Salam Malaysia, Madani. Thanks for joining us. I'm Renee Fong and you are watching World Today. United Nations peacekeepers in Lebanon have warned against a catastrophic regional conflict as Israeli forces battle Hezbollah and Hamas groups on 2 fronts. Spokesperson for the United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon, UNIFIL, Andrea Tenanti, said he feared an Israeli escalation against Hezbollah could soon spiral out of control into a regional conflict with catastrophic impact for everyone.
The conflict right now between Hezbollah and Israel is not only a conflict between the 2 countries. This is really turning very soon into a regional conflict with catastrophic impact for everyone. So the responsibility is with everyone, definitely with the parties, but also with the international community.
Israel has faced a fierce diplomatic backlash over incidents in South Lebanon that saw 5 UN peacekeepers injured in 2 days. Tenanti said a lot of damage had been caused to its posts, but UN peacekeepers in South Lebanon will not move from the border area. He explained that Israel had asked UNIFIL to withdraw from positions up to 5 kilometers from the blue line separating both countries, but the peacekeepers refused. That would have included its 29 positions in the country's south. Tenanti said there was a unanimous decision to stay because it is important for the UN flag to still fly high in the region and to be able to report to the Security Council. On a related note, 40 nations that contribute to the EU peacekeeping force in Lebanon said they strongly condemned the recent attacks on the peacekeepers. The joint statement posted on X by the Polish UN mission and signed by nations including leading contributors Indonesia, Italy and India said such actions must stop immediately and should be adequately investigated. Other signatories include Malaysia, Ghana, Nepal, Spain, France and China, all countries that have contributed several hundred troops to the force. The peacekeeping mission has accused the Israeli military of deliberately firing on its positions, causing the injuries of 5 peacekeepers. The 40 contributing countries reaffirmed their full support for UNIFIL's mission and activities, whose principal aim is to bring stabilization and lasting peace in South Lebanon as well as in the West Asia. They also urge the parties of the conflict to respect UNIFIL's presence, which entails the obligation to guarantee the safety and security of its personnel at all times. UNIFIL, which involves about 9,500 troops of some 50 nationalities, is tasked with monitoring a ceasefire that ended a 33-day war in 2006 between Israel and Hezbollah. Israeli strikes on 3 villages outside traditional Hezbollah strongholds in Lebanon killed at least 15 people, and the villages include Maisra, Barha as well as Deir Billah. Lebanon's health ministry said an Israeli strike on Maisra, a village in mountain area north of Beirut, left at least 9 people dead and 15 wounded. Separately, the ministry said 4 people had been killed and 18 others wounded in an Israeli strike on Barha in the Shof district south of the capital. The ministry also reported 2 dead, 4 wounded and body parts in an Israeli strike on Deir Billah, some 15 kilometers from the town of Batroun on Lebanon's north coast. It noted that DNA tests were being carried out to determine the identity of the remains. The official national news agency said the Israeli strike targeted a house in Deir Billah where families from South Lebanon had taken refuge. Since 23rd September, Israel has been heavily bombarding South and East Lebanon as well as Beirut's southern suburbs, saying it is targeting Hezbollah sites. However, the mountain area near Maisra as well as Barha, Deir Billah and Zaleh are not areas usually considered Hezbollah strongholds. Meanwhile, hundreds of Palestinians residing in northern Gaza were seen fleeing the north on Saturday with their belongings strapped on donkey carts, bicycle, or were being carried by them as they walked. The Israeli occupation forces has been pursuing an offensive in recent days, sending its troops into Jabalia, the largest of Gaza's 8 historic refugee camps, and the nearby towns of Beit Hanun and Beit Lahia. The Israeli has told residents to evacuate an area in which the UN estimates more than 400,000 people are trapped. Earlier on Thursday, an Israeli airstrike on a school sheltering displaced people in central Gaza killed at least 28 people, including women and children, while 3 hospitals in the north were told to evacuate, putting patients' lives at risk. And according to the Palestinian Health Ministry, more than 42,000 Palestinians have been killed in the Israeli offensive. Most of Gaza's 2.3 million people have also been displaced, and much of the enclave has been laid to waste. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Moscow had attempted to push back Ukrainian positions in the Russian Kursk region, but Kyiv was holding the line. Ukraine has held on the swaths of Russia's Kursk region since early August. Ukraine said its offensive is intended to create a buffer zone in the region to stop shelling off its border areas. Regarding the Kursk operation, Zelensky said there were attempts by Russia to push back Ukrainian positions. However, he said Ukraine is still not retreating from the area. Russia earlier this week said it had recaptured 2 villages in the Kursk region and vowed to continue to push Ukrainian forces out of its territory. Zelensky also acknowledged that the situation for Ukrainian forces in the eastern Donetsk region and southern Zaporizhzhia region was very difficult. Russian attacks yesterday killed at least 2 people in the eastern Donetsk region, a 19-year-old traveling in a civilian car and an 84-year-old pensioner. A senior official from NATO on Saturday warned that present ethnic tension in North Kosovo could trigger a repeat of violence seen in the area last year when 4 people died in a gun battle and NATO peacekeepers were hurt in clashes. U.S. Navy Admiral Stuart B. Monsk, commander of the Allied Joint Force Command NAPLS, which oversees NATO's peacekeeping in force in Kosovo, said the alliance remained concerned about the risk of repeated violence in the volatile north.
But we are in close and transparent communications with all the government security forces in the region, and we well understand the circumstances, and we work continuously to resolve differences and prevent tension from arising. There is concern that heated political rhetoric could inspire some non-government forces to commit violence, such as what happened last year in May and September.
A police officer and 3 gunmen were killed in September 2023 when a group of heavily armed attackers entered from Serbia and attacked police in the village of Banjska. Kosovo has accused Serbia of being behind the Banjska attack, but Belgrade has denied the accusations. Kosovo is predominantly ethnic Albanian, but about 50,000 Serbs in the north reject Pristina's government and see Belgrade as their capital. You're back with me, Renee Fong. His Majesty Sultan Ibrahim, King of Malaysia, has arrived in Bandar Seri Begawan to begin a 3-day state visit to Brunei. The special aircraft carrying His Majesty and Her Majesty the Queen Raja Zarith Sofia landed at Brunei International Airport at 11:25 a.m. and they were accorded a red carpet welcome. Earlier, the special aircraft carrying their Majesties departed from the Royal Malaysian Air Force Subang Air Base at about 9:30 a.m. Dewan Rakyat Speaker Tan Sri Johari Abdul, Foreign Minister Datuk Sri Muhammad Hassan and Communications Minister Fahmi Fadzil were among those who were present to bid farewell to their Majesties. The visit is expected to further strengthen cooperation in economic, social and political fields while stimulating bilateral investments, education and tourism between the two countries. Vietnam and China have agreed to boost defense and security cooperation despite their years-long maritime dispute in the South China Sea. China is Vietnam's largest trading partner and a vital source of imports for its manufacturing sector. The Vietnamese government said in a statement that the two countries also agreed to boost economic ties, with China pledging to further open its market for Vietnamese farm produce, while Vietnam would facilitate Chinese investment. It added the two countries will prioritize cooperation in developing railway links. The statement came after Chinese Premier Li Qiang met Vietnamese President Tu Lam in Hanoi as Li began his 3-day state visit to Vietnam. Early this month, Vietnam protested to China over what it said was an attack on a Vietnamese fishing boat in contested South China Sea waters that injured several fishermen. Up next, 4 dead after fuel station blast in Chechnya. 2 children were among 4 people who were killed on Saturday after a blast at a fuel station in the Chechen capital, Grozny. According to the Russian's Region's Emergencies Ministry, a fuel tank had exploded at the station, resulting in a fire with 5 more people injured. Ramzan Kadyrov, the leader of Chechnya, said on Telegram that he had taken the situation under his personal control. He said that those responsible for the blast would be brought to justice but did not give further details. Authorities released images of more than 24 firefighters extinguishing the blaze at an almost totally destroyed petrol station with burnt-out cars in Chechnya's main city, Grozny. The ministry added that the fire had been put out. Officials said the petrol stations is on Grozny's Muhammad Ali Avenue, close to the center of Chechen capital. Russia's North Caucasus has seen several deadly blasts at service stations recently. Last month, an explosion at a petrol station in the neighboring Dagestan region killed 13 people. And in August 2023, a similar explosion killed 35 people in Dagestan and injured dozens. At least 7 passengers were injured after 12 train coaches derailed following an accident involving a passenger train and a stationary goods train in the southern India state of Tamil Nadu. The accident took place in Chennai, the capital city of Tamil Nadu. An official said the passenger train was travelling at 75 kilometres per hour when it hit the goods train, adding that a coach also caught fire. According to railway officials, the train was supposed to travel via the main line, but it entered the loop line. They said signals were all set for the main line, but there was some mismatch between the signals and the route. Senior railway official RN Singh said on the loop line the goods train was already stabled to give it precedence. But something went wrong and the matter is currently under investigation. Singh also said the train service on the route was suspended and some trains diverted. And according to officials, 1,360 people were on board the passenger train at the time of the accident. And in June, at least 15 people were killed and 60 others injured when a goods train crashed into the rear of a stationary passenger train in West Bengal. An Air India Express flight carrying 144 passengers landed safely at Tiruchirappalli Airport in Tamil Nadu on Friday evening following a mid-air scare caused by a technical glitch. According to local media reports, the Sharjah-bound flight IX613 took off from Tiruchirappalli at 5:43 p.m. local time but soon experienced hydraulic failure, forcing it to turn back. The Boeing 737-800 aircraft circled multiple times in the designated area to reduce fuel and weight before making a safe precautionary landing around 8 p.m. India time, one report said, citing an airline spokesperson. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin said upon receiving news of the landing gear issue, he immediately coordinated an emergency meeting with officials over the phone and instructed them to implement all necessary safety measures, including deploying fire engines, ambulances and medical assistance. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said he plans to partially suspend asylum rights for irregular migrants, accusing human traffickers in countries such as Russia and Belarus of abusing the system. Tusk, who is due to present a migration policy package on Tuesday, said in a speech to his civic coalition movement that Poland would wage a merciless fight against undocumented migrants entering the country.
Aby do Polski trafiali ludzie, którzy chcą w Polsce uczciwie pracować, płacić podatki i to są ludzie, którzy zasługują wtedy na szacunek, na respekt. To buduje też wizerunek Polski jako państwa, które naprawdę wie, o co chodzi, które naprawdę chce zadbać o bezpieczeństwo. Więc jeśli ja na przykład dzisiaj głośno powiem, że jednym z elementów strategii migracyjnej będzie czasowe, terytorialne zawieszenie prawa do azylu.
Poland, a NATO and European Union member, accuses Russia and Belarus of orchestrating a flood of asylum seeker migrants in a hybrid attack to destabilize Europe. Poland has seen an influx of refugees from the war in Ukraine and has called for a very serious debate on migration to the EU. At least 8 people died after heavy rains in Brazil as storms swept parts of the country following a severe drought that fueled a record wave of wildfires. According to the National Institute of Meteorology, central and southeastern Brazil have been pounded since Friday by winds reaching 100 kilometers per hour and up to 10 centimeters of daily rainfall. The state civil defense said 7 people died in Sao Paulo, Brazil's most populated state, mainly due to falling trees and walls toppled by violent winds and rain. In the capital, Brasilia, 1 soldier was killed and another injured after a tree fell while they were removing a flag in front of the military police headquarters. Blackout struck large parts of Sao Paulo city, an energy firm, and all said around 1.6 million homes and businesses were still without electricity. News media reported that officials inside the Chamber of Deputies, the lower house of Brazil's Congress, had to use umbrellas indoors as rainwater leaked from the roof. However, many welcomed the downpours as a relief in Brasilia after a record of more than 165 days without rain. Coming up in sports, Zhi Fei and Izudin topple world #1 to reach Arctic Open final. Professional men's doubles pair Goh Zhi Fei and Nur Izudin Rumsani would have a chance to clinch their 3rd title this year as they cruised to the Arctic Open 2024 final in Vantaa, Finland last night. The fifth seed and China Open 2024 champion pulled off a stunning upset against top seeds of China, Liang Weikeng and Wang Chang, as they came from behind to book a spot in the final at Energia Arena, 19-21, 21-17, 21-18 in 62 minutes. The world's number 8 pair will Yasin after the Chinese duo claimed a comfortable 14-21 and 8-21 victory. Meanwhile, the country's top women's doubles pair, Pearly Tan and M. Tina, are on the cusp of capturing their second title this year as they also trekked into the Arctic Open 2024 final early this morning. During the semi-finals action of the Super 500 tournament held at the Energia Arena, third seeds Pearly and Tina fought hard in a grueling battle that lasted 1 hour and 42 minutes against second seeds Rin Iwanaga and Kia Nakanishi of Japan, before emerging with a 21-19, 19-21, 26-24 victory. The world number 7 pair will meet China's Liu Shengshu and Tan Ning in Sunday's final. Last month, Pearly and Tina trounced Shengshu and Tan Ning 21-14 and 21-14 to be crowned as the 2024 Hong Kong Open champions. Novak Djokovic moved a step closer to his 100th ATP title on Saturday when he beat American 7th seed Taylor Fritz 6-4 and 7-6 in the Shanghai Masters semi-finals to set up a title decider against top-ranked Jannik Sinner. Up next, Dragon Ball fans celebrate the release of new video game in the series. Attack on Titan, the musical, is based on one of the best-selling manga series of all time, with more than 140 million copies sold worldwide. This adaptation of the Japanese comic by Hajime Isayama combines traditional musical theater, state-of-the-art technology, and 2.5-dimensional actors.
僕は生身の人間が持つ放つエネルギーってものすごく大きいものだと思っていて、例えば映画とかアニメからもらう映像からもらう力とミュージカルとか舞台とかからもらう力って全然違うものがあると思いますし、そういう意味ではアニメや映画化した作品を次またミュージカルで生身の人間がやるっていうのはかなりこう心にくるものがあると思うので。そうですね、多分かなりこう重たい作品ですし、まあ暗いような作品ですけど、ぜひ皆さんに劇場に来ていただいて、まあ、楽しんでというわけにいかないですけど、一緒に頑張っていこうっていうメッセージを受け取ってもらえたら嬉しいなと思います。
The director of the show, Go Ueki, said that this production will be performed in Japanese with English subtitles. Attack on Titan, the musical, premiered in Osaka and Tokyo in Japan in January 2023. The New York premiere is the first overseas production. It will run from October 11th to 13th at the New York City Center. Fans of the Dragon Ball franchise are celebrating the release of new video game in the series Dragon Ball Sparking Zero and its host of product launches, despite the series creator having died this year. Japanese manga artist Akira Toriyama, who died in March, launched Dragon Ball in 1984, and it has since become one of the best-selling manga franchises of all time, spawning countless anime series, films and video games. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero was released on Friday with a record 182 characters doing battle.
C'est un lancement qui est très attendu, comme beaucoup de nos lancements de jeux, mais c'est vrai que particulièrement celui-ci, puisque là on est sur une licence qui est quand même historique. Encore une fois, on dit Dragon Ball va fêter ses 40 ans cette année. Donc c'est vraiment un jeu, un titre où les attentes sont très élevées de notre côté, du côté des joueurs et du côté des fans.
A new animated series, Dragon Ball Daima, will also be released to commemorate the 40th anniversary of the franchise. In a statement last year, the studio behind the series credited Toriyama with dreaming up the title. He is also named as a writer on the show, and the statement quotes him as saying Daima as an invented word, roughly meaning evil in English. A photovoltaic power station in northwest China's Qinghai province has turned a once barren land into a renewable energy hub, simultaneously generating electricity while making exemplary contributions to local economic development and ecological conservation efforts. Covering 609 square kilometers, the Qinghai Talatan Photovoltaic Power Station in Hainan Tibetan Autonomous Prefecture boasts a power generation capacity of 8,430 megawatts, making it the largest in the world. It hosts 91 energy enterprises, which include 63 solar photovoltaic power enterprises and 28 wind power enterprises. In the power station, a larger facility is currently under construction, comprising projects with 900,000 kilowatts of photovoltaic energy and 100,000 kilowatts of photothermal energy. More than 23,000 heliostats will be installed, reflecting sunlight over an area of 700,000 square meters to the heat absorption tower in the center. The collected thermal energy is then converted into electrical energy through a turbine generator. The facility is expected to be completed and operational next year. That concludes today's edition of World Today. And in our top story, UN warns of catastrophe as Israel fights a two-front war. Till then, I'm Renee Fong. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thanks for watching and have a pleasant afternoon.